screen there. That's pretty wild. Nice to see that reflection of the screen there. Anyway, welcome back to the program. I'm at the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital. Behind me, you can see these these granite pillars, granite pillars back here. They mark all 50 states and the territories who provided troops, men and women, to fight for our nation's defense in the Second World War against the Japanese, the Imperial Japanese, and the Nazi Germans, those two alliances. So this monument was erected only recently, last 30 years. It really missed about 50 or 60 years that veterans who survived the war could have enjoyed and come here and seen the respect was paid to them. I'm standing between the Lincoln Memorial, which you can see way back in the background. It's lit up back there as the twilight comes into play. That is the Lincoln Memorial back there. Of course, that's very famous, with a bronze of Abraham Lincoln there. And in the other direction here, see if I can get this to work very quickly here. Okay, can't say, okay. All right, so no, it is closed. Okay, there we go. The other direction is the Washington Monument there. And further down is the nation's capital. You can probably barely make it out just below the flags in the circle there in the distance. A little hard to see. But yeah, so this is the mall right in the heart of D.C. What's fascinating is that this area here in the 1930s actually had cattle on it. Can you imagine that? Actually, why is that reflection there? That's really weird. It's bouncing off my shirt. So I'm getting a reflection off my shirt. But in the 1930s, there was cattle that roamed on the National Mall. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. But we had livestock walking around out here. This is how undeveloped this area was. You can see a plane there from Reagan National Airport taking off in the background. But cattle roamed here. Also in the 1930s, shamefully, the Roosevelt administration, the fascist democratic Roosevelt administration, called out the army to go after the, I guess, bonus army they were called. A lot of veterans from World War I were promised some payment for their service, and they never got it. So during the height of the Depression, thousands of veterans came out here in the mall to protest. And much to their shame, the Roosevelt administration sicked the army on our veterans. So it's fascinating now politically here in the United States to hear the nonsensical chatter coming from the likes of Claire McCaskill and a number of other Democrats that serve in the House and in the Senate, whining about the misuse of the National Guard, when in fact that's one of their primary missions. I served in the National Guard, and we train for riot control and for civil disturbance and natural disasters. That's part of the mission of the National Guard. But to hear them whine and complain about that is rich, when in the 1930s, their savior, their great exalted King Franklin Delano Roosevelt, sent the army out to this spot here to beat, on horseback, beat war veterans from the First World War. True story, folks. It's a true story. And it's a sad part of our history here. The Democrats used the military to assault veterans, honorably served veterans from the First World War. And it's something that's never talked about, rarely talked about. People have a very bad memory and don't understand history. And it's really a tragic story, to be honest. But this is one of the most amazing spots in the world. And you walk along the mall, it's quite a distance from the Lincoln Memorial at one end all the way to the Capitol building at the other end. This big wide open green space out here in the heart of the nation's capital, with all this ruckus going on around me. There's a lot of traffic at this hour. The flight's going overhead. There goes another plane just taking off from Reagan National. You can see it in the background there with the lights on it. But you can see the Lincoln Memorial is lit up. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go down there. I'd love to do that. But with the hip, and I'm not as fit as I was, it took me about 14 minutes to walk here from where I'm parked at, and I have to get back by 6, so I can't dilly-dally. So I've got to get back there and get my car out before they charge me for an extra fee. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes here showing you a little bit of the heart of the nation's capital. And the last time I think I was here, was it January 6th? I don't know. I don't think it's been that long. No, I was here after January 6th. I was here for the against the jab. There was a rally against the jab, so I came here for that one. But you know, I don't get here very often because it's such a headache to drive all the way down here to Washington, D.C. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. Got a number of people showing up now. I appreciate that. But again, I'm going to turn around and swing this thing around. So, all right. So, and then I'm going to show you on camera the other side. So let me just flip it here very quickly. So what you can see here, you see all those lit granite spires. Each of those represent states and territories in the Union who contributed troops who fought in the Second World War to end Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany. So that's one side. The other side is over here. I can't show you all of it because of the angle I'm at. Lincoln Memorial in the background. And then you see this side. As I said, it took them a long time to come up with this memorial. decades after the war was over. Really tragic that it took so long for that to happen, but it did. So, yeah, and on the other end, opposite me is, again, the Washington Monument right now, which is, get it right there real quickly. There you go. So there's the Washington Monument right there. And off in the distance, if you see the lights, there's actually a plane flying over there too. But that's not from Reagan National. That's from somewhere else. Anyway, I hope that people enjoyed my broadcasting today from the nation's capital. I've enjoyed it. The people that I met, a lot of people you can meet on air. There'll be an interview that I conduct with some folks from Mississippi and South Carolina. Will be coming up a little bit later on about their experience here. One lady, it's her birthday. She got to tour the White House today. And as well as that, also a lot of people I met. I met a nice couple from Sri Lanka earlier. Like I said, this is kind of like the crossroads of the world. People come from all over the world to see the nation's capital, our nation's capital. And while it's a city that I'm not a big fan of, it does have its highlights and its appeal. But it's difficult to live here. It's expensive, and getting around is very difficult unless you use public transport. But of course, I don't live here, so public transport wasn't an option tonight. So I will be hitting the highway, and the traffic is backed up the Roosevelt Bridge. So I'm going to have to try to slice my way through the city streets to get out to a different part of the highway so I can avoid that traffic. That's my way. Hello, Gus. What's going on there? And Faithful Farmer. Yeah, they are pretty monuments. But like I said, it took them like 6 decades before they built this memorial. And many of the veterans of World War II, 16 million men and women served in the United States Armed Forces in the Second World War. 418,000 died in combat or died from illness and wounds. And another 670,000 were wounded during the Second World War. And it took them 6 decades. Now, this was built with private funds. This isn't government built. But it took 6 decades to erect this, which is quite a long time. And that's a shame that a lot of those veterans passed away before they ever got to see a monument in their honor. And so we honor them with this here. David, welcome to you. Good evening, folks. So glad. I wanted to see if you'll go live now. Yeah, no, I'm live, but I can't stay too long. And I love your video with the Swiss pass by. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that video with was it Finn? Finn is what it goes by. So 21 people currently here, 8 likes. Thank you for that. Appreciate those showing up. I think the content from today is pretty good. I wish I had more time, but DC as night descends is really beautiful because a lot of the things, as you can see, get lit up, and they're quite attractive in the evening. The Washington Monument you can see for miles and miles and miles. It's incredible. The Capitol building you see from a long way, but I don't have time to walk there tonight because I have to get to my car and get out of here. But I thought I would show you this. To me, it's poignant. And behind me, also a little bit further down here, is the past that wall on the other side is the Korean War Memorial. The Korean Memorial is one of the most poignant and powerful and evoking monuments. I'm sure I can't show that tonight, but you can look it up online. The Korean War Memorial, they've got soldiers in bronze marching on patrol through some bushes. And it's just, for those of you who served in uniform, it really hits home. There's another plane up there. So that's a really powerful monument. Of course, we got the Vietnam Memorial, which is on the other side of this monument, further down here on this side, the north side of the mall. And of course, that's a wall that has the 58,000 Americans who died in the Vietnam conflict. And so that's pretty powerful too. For years, that was probably the most powerful monument here. But when they built the Korean War Memorial, for me, it's quite powerful because the soldiers in bronze, and it's a mix reflecting the reality of the United States Army during the 1950s when we fought against the Chinese communists and against the North Koreans. But it's a very powerful monument. This one here, I'm glad it was erected, but it doesn't quite evoke the same feeling and emotion in me as the other ones do. The Vietnam has always evoked a lot of emotion, and of course, as I said, the Korean one really evokes a lot too. We don't have monuments. We have a lot of Civil War monuments, but there's none here that I'm aware of in DC. We also have the Jefferson Memorial. It's located out that direction to the south from here, down near the Potomac River. And yeah, so that's a little bit about here. And once you get past the Washington Monument, lining both sides of the Constitution Avenue and the other road over here, lining both sides of the mall, you'll find Smithsonian Museum buildings, all sorts of them. You go further down the left-hand side, about a half mile from here, you'll find the National Archives. I used to go there as a researcher to look up documents. They have a copy of the Magna Carta as well as the Declaration of Independence, which is pretty cool. But sometimes they put those away, but it's really powerful things to see. Of course, the Magna Carta from 2015, the king gave away some of his authority to the nobles, and it was the first real constraint on royal authority, which led to representative democracy in the modern era. Of course, the Greeks had this long ago, but it disappeared. But it was the first real example with the Magna Carta, King John. So, of course, the Brits have been eviscerating the Magna Carta and its subsequent legislation. Well, that's a noisy jet there. Southwest Airlines, I can see the tail on it. Anyway, so how are we doing on time here? Let's see what time it is. 5:36. Okay. Love the video. My birthday was the 12th. Okay. Well, happy belated birthday, Winton Engels. Thank you very much for that. Chat with Finn was refreshing. It was. What's for supper? I have no idea. It's going to be a long time before I get home. Without traffic, it's a 2-hour and 15-minute drive. With traffic, it could be 4 hours. So I'm trying to let the DC traffic, and it's also a Friday. A lot of people don't live in DC. They work here during the week, and then they flee back home, especially towards northern Maryland and Pennsylvania. And also they go south into Virginia towards Woodbridge and other places. So a lot of that traffic is inching its way out of the capital right now. So I'm hoping that by the time I get to my car, a lot of that will be gone. And then just hope for the best to get out of here. But I'm starving. I'll be honest with you, it'll probably be McDonald's or something like that because I just don't have time. I'll pull over somewhere and get something to eat along the way. I have a place in mind where I can get that. But yeah, but I will do a night owls unless something crazy happens tonight. So for those who want to tune in. Also, I have that interview with the folks from Mississippi and from South Carolina. That's an interesting, I hope you'll enjoy that. That's a short interview outside the White House. And then after I finished my live earlier, they opened up the gates. You go up right up to the gates of the White House. Also, I will say this, a program announcement, even though we're talking about the monuments here. After having had a meeting today with people in authority in the nation's capital, I can tell you that my suspicions about what happened with relations between South Africa and the United States was spot on. Spot on. The ANC had their chances to fix this. They really had a chance to fix this, and they really screwed the pooch. They really, really, really screwed the pooch. And I'm going to go back to what Neil DeBeer told me. Chris, they're just that dumb. And I think that's really the case. I really don't think they can help themselves. And well, that's a big plane there over my head there. I really don't think they help themselves. And as a result, we got a mess. But anyway, but it's been the temperature is lovely here. It's just about freezing. I'm enjoying it. Most of my viewers would enjoy it, but I'm enjoying it. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to break away here and go back. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today. And for those of you who follow my program, if you're just discovering this because of the title, I'm retired U.S. Army Colonel, and I'm an independent journalist, and I cover events around the world. And today I'm here in the nation's capital where I had a visit with someone about some very important issues. And so, yep, it was worth my time to drive down here for 2.5 hours and then whatever it takes for me to fight and get back tonight, plus the parking and all that. So I hope you've enjoyed this stream. Please feel free to hit the like button if you don't mind. Get a handful of likes on there. Also, if you don't mind, if you're not a subscriber, I'd ask that you become a subscriber to Chris Wyatt Africa. Well, it's really just Colonel Chris Wyatt now. I don't really call Chris Wyatt Africa anymore. But yeah, we'd appreciate that. So thank you very much. And they're very arrogant, that's for sure. Well, I hope you can experience it, Bergmeister. It's really awesome. But try to, the wintertime is great because the sun goes down much faster. Summertime, you got to wait till 8, 9, 10 o'clock for it to get dark around here. So here you can really take advantage of the darkness. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up here. Oh, gosh bless. Man, the planes are taking off like every few seconds, aren't they? Every few seconds. Anyway, I give you, what's this? Someone use your content, YouTube videos, 2 videos about you. His name is, what, did he say something bad about me? Did he say something bad about me? Let me know that. So there you go. Once again, that is the Lincoln Memorial way down there. It's a long walk from here and a little bit too far for me to go to tonight. So, yeah. So did the guy say something bad about me? I'll wait around for a second to see if that's the case. Tell me if he said something bad about me. People use my content all the time, and they're not allowed to. It violates, good things. Well, that's okay. Well, I won't be complaining about that. The bad guys say things, and I don't really give them a hard time other than about how stupid they are. But thanks for the guys saying good things about me. Hopefully it brings more people to the channel. Anyway, folks, that's going to do a wrap from here. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit the like button. Can I WhatsApp you about a concern? You may WhatsApp me. You get through the, I already have White House Christmas displays, but there's a shop across from the White House in the Eisenhower Executive Office building. I did pop in there early and I picked up some little trinkets and some mementos. You'll see some of those on Night Owls tonight if you tune in, okay? All right, folks, God bless. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Chesed Kesvis. And we'll catch you guys a little bit later, okay? Cheers.